So we're going to look at composition of functions. And this is not new information. It is from Math 3. So there's some resources on Haiku that you can go watch the stuff that I taught in Math 3. But this, I think it's a little challenging. Some people have problems with it. So watch the video as many times as you need to. Go do those extra resources. Ask me for help. All that good stuff. Learning target. I can compose functions. So when we talk about composing, we're talking about putting a function inside another function and creating this god-awful Frankenstein-looking function. Okay, so let me give you just some basic info, some definitions. So composition functions, another method to combine functions is called a composition. So usually they'll give you f of x and g of x. The composite function looks like this. F of g of x is defined as, so that's how you say it, f of g of x. It's going to look like this. F goes on the outside and g is on the inside. So whatever is the very first function is going to be your outside function. In this case, it happens to be f. Usually that's what it looks like. And then the second function is your inside function. So you're putting, this is what you're doing. You're putting g inside of f and you're simplifying. So that's just a really confusing notation way of saying that. You're putting the g function inside the f function. So if you ever think about the domain of the composite function, f of g of x, is the domain of g such that g of x is in the domain of f. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we're not going to worry so much about that. We're just going to focus on the composing. But I am supposed to tell you about that. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So given f of x and g of x, we're going to find each function and we're going to state its domain. Okay. So anytime I do f of x, I'm going to do that in blue. And anytime I do g of x, I'm going to do that in red because I think it helps when you see it a little more colorful. So the one on the left, we are finding the f of g of x. So f is my first function. It's going to go on my outside. G is my second function. It's the one going on the inside. So literally what I'm doing is I'm taking the g of x function and I'm writing it inside the f of x function. So I'm replacing the x in the f of x function with the stuff I just got for the g of x function. Alright, so f of x was like this, x plus 7. But what I'm doing is I'm taking the g of x function and I'm replacing that x right here with g of x. So I'm going to replace that x with x squared minus 4. So see how I just replaced x with the entire g of x function? And now I'm just going to simplify. So the only two like terms, there's nothing I can do to x squared, are negative 4 plus 7. And negative 4 plus 7 is positive 3. So this is my answer. And then if I wanted to state the domain, it's from negative infinity to positive infinity. Alright, we're not even going to worry about the domain. We're just going to work on doing this stuff. Okay, so now we're going to do the opposite of what we just did. So I'm going to do g of f of x. So g is first. It goes on the outside. F is second, so it goes on the inside. So I'm literally taking the f equation and I'm putting it inside the g equation. Alright, so the g equation was x squared minus 4. I'm replacing this x with the stuff that's the f equation. So I'm replacing that x with x plus 7. Because it all goes together, I'm going to put it in parentheses. So squared minus 4. So see what I did? I just replaced the letter x with an entire equation, and now I'm going to simplify. So hopefully you remember that anytime you have a parentheses squared, that means you write that parentheses twice. And then you do my least favorite word of all time, FOIL. But what you're really doing is distributing. So x times x is x squared. X times 7 is 7x. 7 times x is 7x. 7 times 7 is 49. I'm going to bring down the minus 4. Now I'm just going to get my like terms together. There's nothing I can add to x squared. Then I have 7x and 7x. If I add those two together, I get 14x. And I have positive 49 and negative 4. When I add those together, I get 45. That's my final answer. You're putting one function inside of another function. Okay, I know it's hard, so we're going to do some more together. And I'm going to color code. Anytime I talk about f of x, I'm going to do in blue. Anytime I talk about g of x, I'm going to use red. Alright. And now I'm just going to read the notation and see what they're telling me. So this one says f of g. F is the very first one, so it's my outside one. G is my second one, so it's my inside function. So I'm taking the g and I'm putting it inside the f function. So I'm going to write the f function, 3 minus x, but I'm going to replace x with the g function. So literally what you're doing, 3 minus x over x plus 1. Alright, since this quantity goes together, we're going to put it in parentheses, just so we remember that it stays together. Okay, so what I want to happen in order to add two fractions together is for them to have the same denominator. So I want the blue fraction to also have the denominator x plus 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do x plus 1 and x plus 1. So I'm going to distribute the 3 to everything at the very top. So a 3 times x is a 3x. 3 times a 1 is a 3. On the bottom, it's just going to be x plus 1. And now I have x on top, x plus 1 on bottom. The two denominators are the same, so you don't do anything to the two denominators. Now I'm going to look at the numerators. I have a 3x minus x, which gives me 2x. And then I have the positive 3, that's all by itself, so it's just positive 3. So that would be my final answer. Okay, I'm going to do this one. It's just the opposite. G is my first function, so G goes on the outside. F is my second function, so it goes on the inside. So literally what I'm doing is I'm taking the F equation and I'm plugging it into G. Alright, so I'm going to write the G equation so you see this one. This one's a little bit trickier. Here's my G equation. Everywhere I see an X, I'm going to replace it with 3 minus X. So hopefully you see what I did. There was an X here. I replaced it with 3 minus X because that's what the F is. There was an X here. I replaced it with 3 minus X because that's what the F is. Okay, and now I'm just going to simplify. So that top, I got 3 minus X. There's nothing to do to that. On the bottom, I have a positive 3 plus 1, which is just 4. Alright, and then that is my final answer. So that was a lot easier than that first one. Alright, let's continue on. Alright, so what I want you to do right now is I want you to pause the video, and I want you to color code it, and I want you to write like which function goes first. See if you can do that. So everybody try that. And 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here's what it should look like. The first one is f on the outside, g of x on the inside. The second one is g on the outside, f of x on the second one. On the inside, sorry. Okay, so for the first one, I'm going to write the f equation. And I'm going to replace this x with the g of x stuff. Alright, so it's looking like this. 9 minus 2, 4x plus 1 to the third power. Now, because this is a quantity, it goes in parentheses. Okay, so hopefully that made sense. Alright, and then remember that anytime you have a quantity to the cube root, that means to write it 3 times. So it's really going to look like this. 4x plus 1, 4x plus 1, 4x plus 1. Okay. So this is when you start distributing. You're going to need some room. If I didn't give you enough on your note sheet, you can just do it on a separate sheet of paper. Remember that you can only distribute 2 things at once. So go ahead and distribute these 2 and see what you get. Pause the video and do it in 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is what you should get. If you didn't, go find your mistake. If you can't find it, you can message me separately. Now I'm going to have to distribute it to another one. Alright, so go ahead and try that in 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is what you should get. If not, go back and find your mistake or message me and we'll work on it together. And now I still have this stuff to attend to. So I'm going to take this negative 2 and I'm going to distribute to everything in the parentheses. So I get 9 minus 128x cubed minus 96x squared minus 24x minus 2. And now the only 2 like terms are the positive 9 and the negative 2. So my final answer is going to be this. Alright. So that was pretty fast. Remember, if you have any issues, you can always contact me. Whoa! Not that. Okay. So let's look at this next one. So I'm putting the f inside the g. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write the g equation. I'm going to replace this x with the f equation. So here's what it looks like when I get done. Alright, and then because it's a quantity, I'm going to put it in parentheses. So this one's a little easier than that first one, because all I'm going to have to do is distribute the 4. So I should get 36 minus 8x cubed plus 1. And now my only 2 like terms are 36 and a positive 1. So my final answer, negative 8x cubed plus 37. Alright, so hopefully you're getting the hang of this. If the color coding works, use it. If it doesn't and you're good without it, don't use it. Figure out what works good for your brain. Alright, so let's move on to something a little different. For me personally, I think these examples are easier, but sometimes people disagree with me. So we're still given f of x and g of x. I'm still going to color code the same way. The only thing different is we're going to evaluate in each function. So anytime you see that word evaluate, that means calculate, which means your answer is going to be a number. So that's the difference between those previous ones we were doing. So our answer is not going to be something with x's and lots of numbers in it. It's just going to be one probably whole number. I'm hoping. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it works pretty much the same way. The first function you get to is your outside function. The second one is your inside function. But this time, you're going to be plugging in a number into those functions. So literally what this is saying to do is plug 3 into G and plug that answer into F. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to plug 3 into the G equation. So here's the G equation. I'm going to replace that X with the number 3. So this is 9 minus 4, which gives me 5. I'm going to take that answer, 5, that I just found, and I'm going to plug it into the F equation. So the F equation is X plus 7. I'm going to replace the X with the answer I just found. So 5 plus 7. 5 plus 7 is 12. So my final answer is the number 12. Alright, for the next example, G is my first equation, or my first letter I get to, so G is on the outside. F is the second one this time, and I'm going to be replacing X with a negative 5. So this one is saying plug negative 5 into F and plug that answer into G. Okay, so the first thing we're going to work with is the F equation. The F equation is X plus 7. So I'm going to replace this X with a negative 5. So negative 5 plus 7 is 2. I'm going to take that answer and plug it into G. G was X squared minus 4. So I'm replacing the X with the answer I just found, 2. So 2 squared minus 4. 2 squared is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. My final answer is 0. So anytime these say evaluate, like they do at the beginning, that means to calculate, and that means that you should get just one number as your answer. Okay, so I want you to try these two. Go ahead, let's see if you can color code it properly first. So try and write what they're trying to say, and you can write it in words just like I did. So try that, pause the video, and actually try it in 1, 2, 3. Okay, so for the first one, we're going to plug 9 into G, and then plug that answer into F. For the second one, we're going to plug 7 into F, and plug that answer into G. So if you would like to pause the video and see if you can do that, you can do that now, or you can just watch me do it. So the first one, we're working with the G function. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take the X values and replace them with the number 9. So 9 divided by 9 plus 1. So that is 9 over 10. I'm going to take that answer and plug it into the F equation. So the F equation is 3 minus X. I'm going to replace X with the answer I just found. So 3 minus 9 over 10. You can do this in your calculator. Just make sure you put parentheses around any fraction you get. So you either get 2.1, or if you left it as a fraction, 21 over 10. So for the second one, you're going to plug 7 into F. So here's the F equation. You're going to replace that X with 7. So 3 minus 7, which gives you negative 4. I'm going to take that answer and plug it into my G equation. My G equation is X over X plus 1. Remember to replace both X's with the number that it gives you. So negative 4 over negative 4 plus 1. So negative 4 on top, on the bottom, negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. Remember that a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So my final answer is 4/3. If you wanted to do a decimal, you could. I would use fractions as much as I can, but this is 1.33 repeating. Alright. So I want you to try this one, pause the video, and I want you to do all of it. And then I'm going to show you my answer, and if you need extra help, you can always message me. So try this in 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the first one is f of g of 2. So I'm taking 2 and plugging it into the g. When I do that, I get 9. And then I'm going to take 9 and I'm going to plug it into the f equation. So when I replace x with 9, I get negative 1,449. Okay, the second one, I'm doing g of f of negative 3. I'm taking negative 3, plugging it into f, plugging it into g. Alright, so I plug negative 3 into the f, and I get 63. I take 63 and plug it into the g, and I get 253. So hopefully you got those. If you did, awesome, you got this. If not, re-watch the video, go back and watch the extra resources, or contact me, or find you a friend. So here's some memes about composition of functions. I did have to, make this one PG over here, because I know you've never heard bad words before. Alright, let me know if you have any questions, concerns, anything I can help with. Bye.